we've got a related question about volume. This one is b to the fifth. The question is, do you think that junk volume is real, or is all volume productive?
That's a good question, and I think that there are a couple different ways to answer this. So I think the practical answer is that junk volume is real. I think a slightly less practical answer is that all volume is going to do something. The question is more like, is the additive effect of additional volume going to be noticeable, or is it going to potentially be counterproductive? So, you impose a stimulus on your body, it's gonna do something, on like the microscopic cellular level. Like, at least something is going to be different from doing that 8th set instead of stopping at the 7th. It may not be particularly large, or it may be like a small effect that's negative because maybe you've like exceeded now your ability to recover from that session, or recover as adequately. But I think the term junk volume, at least to me, sounds like it has the implication of like this extra volume isn't doing anything. And I think on just a pure physiological level, it's doing something. It's just a question of whether it's enough to really notice or whether it would be beneficial or potentially detrimental. And so I think on a practical level, like, yeah, like junk volume's a thing. If you're doing like 13 sets in a workout instead of 12, like, did that 13th set for a given muscle group do enough to really make much of a difference? Probably not. Or like, let's say theoretically you do like 4 or 5 really hard sets for an exercise, and then you cut the load by 50% and then do a triple to end with. Technically that's more volume, but like the last set's going to be so fucking easy, it's not going to do anything noticeable. So yeah, I think practically junk volume is a thing, but I think that you should recognize everything is doing something. It's just more of a question of whether the effects are going to be noticeable or not.
Wasn't it you who mentioned the concept of like hard sets as a means of quantifying volume, or am I getting mixed up?
So I got the idea from Nathan Jones. He wrote an article for at the time String Theory back in like 2014, I think, a long time ago. And yeah, so he is who I got that idea from, and then I think I'm probably the person who's popularized it the most, but credit where it's due. That was his concept that I ripped from him.
Shout out to Nathan. So yeah, I think that's kind of that conceptually jives really well with your explanation there of like, it's not that the other volume doesn't count, but like if you're really cutting to the chase and talking about like what volume is making really substantial, meaningful contributions, like that's a nice way to operationalize it, I think.
Mm-hmm.